Good day, everyone. My name is Paul Macedo, Communications Director with Cando. Welcome to today's session. Today we're going to have a presentation with Michal Szczesniak, who is the Procurement Ambassador with Procurement Assistance Canada. Michael's based in British Columbia, so he's with Procurement Assistance Canada Pacific region. And today, Michael's focus is going to be on the IDEaS program and introducing you to that. IDEaS stands for the Innovation for Defense, Excellence, and Security. So as I mentioned earlier on, if you have questions, please use the chat function and we'll organize those questions for Michael. If you're more interested in opening up the microphone, there'll be time at the end of the session to ask Michael questions directly. So in the meantime, let's get started. Michal Szczesniak, please take it away.
Great. Thank you very much, Paul. And thank you everyone for joining us today. So like Paul mentioned, my name is Mike Szczesniak and I serve as a procurement ambassador at Procurement Assistance Canada. And I'm connecting with you today on the traditional territories of the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. Being a visitor on this land, I'm thankful for the opportunity to explore its natural beauty. So while a copy of this presentation will not be made available, you could find this information and quite frankly, a lot more on the websites I will be mentioning, like the one shown on the screen in just a moment here. So let me just, before I forget, share my screen actually. All right, so like I mentioned, there's the website for Procurement Assistance Canada. And since we have a lot of information to go through and we are limited on time, like Paul mentioned, we ask you to add your questions to the chat or wait until the end of the presentation where we will try to answer any questions you may have. So before I present today's main feature, I wanted to provide a brief introduction of what our team at Procurement Assistance Canada can do for you. Procurement Assistance Canada was created as part of Public Services and Procurement Canada to support smaller and diverse businesses in the federal government procurement process. Our role is to engage with businesses to assist and inform them on how to sell their goods and services to the Government of Canada, and to work to reduce procurement barriers to ensure fairness in the procurement process. We also look for opportunities to increase the participation of diverse businesses in federal procurement. We do this by listening to concerns, answering questions, helping businesses understand the procurement process, and helping them identify opportunities. And we also partner with community organizations and offer assistance that is tailored to meet your specific business needs. So we offer a wide variety of free services to help you better understand the federal government procurement process. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like further assistance, please contact us. You can visit our website where you could find information about our services, register for upcoming seminars, and access self-serve resources that can help you throughout the procurement process. You could also connect to a regional office near you directly. We have 6 regional offices across the country that are there to help you. And you can find the regional contact information on our website. Personally, Pacific Region's office is my favorite because I'm based out of there, but all offices will be able to assist you. So anyways, I think I've spoken enough about Procurement Assistance Canada and given everyone just a few more moments to settle in. So on to what everyone here is eager to learn more about, and that is the IDEaS program, which stands for Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security. So when people think of federal government procurement, people usually think that the government already has a pretty good idea of what they're looking to buy, and that the government already has a pretty defined set of requirements. But sometimes, quite frankly, we're not quite sure what we really need. We might know there is a challenge, but the way to solve it might not be obvious or even invented yet. That's where innovative programs like IDEaS comes into play. So Innovation for Defense Excellence and Security is the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces Access to Information Program. Now, before I go on to the next slide, you might be thinking, Mike, there is no way my target market is the military. And I'll just say that you might want to think again. So please listen up, and you might just end up being surprised. Just as an example, IDEaS projects have included human resources, environmental, health and safety initiatives, in addition to technology innovations traditionally associated with the military. And who knows what they might be seeking in the future. And you could also look at it in a different way. Once selected, IDEaS entrepreneurs tend to also grow their businesses. So even if you are not directly involved in the IDEaS program, you might be able to assist those entrepreneurs meet their business needs and benefit alongside them. So IDEaS transforms defense and security challenges being faced by the various partners like the Air Force, the Navy, Army, Special Forces, and others into innovative solutions to improve Canada's defense capabilities. So the program has been around for a while. It was announced in the fall of 2017 in Strong, Secure, Engaged, Canada's Defense Policy. And the program officially launched in April 2018. IDEaS has been given $1.6 billion over 20 years to deliver on its mandate and advance defense capabilities. So this equates to approximately a budget of $85 million per year. The goal is to continuously tap innovators for their solutions with various calls for proposals every year. The whole program is fully web-based, and I invite you to check the IDEaS webpage that I'll be mentioning later on to find all information about the program. So IDEaS is for all Canadian innovators, from the largest of defense primes to academia, small to medium-sized enterprises to not-for-profits, municipal, provincial, territorial entities, to individuals just working out of their home. They are looking at solving challenges from every possible angle to bring new thinking to the Department of National Defense and Canadian Armed Forces, and welcome thinking from non-traditional sources and any combination of technologies that could offer a breakthrough or new approach for defense and security. All types of Canadian innovators have responded. So on average, applicants are about half small and medium enterprises, 27% academia, 16% large industry, 3 to 4% nonprofit, and the remaining from individuals, with distribution across the country. The IDEaS program was born from the need to be agile in responding to crisis and the impact of globalization of sciences and technology. Historically, defense innovation was often driven by government research labs. Although the Department of National Defence and Canadian Armed Forces has its own research and development organization called the Defence Research and Development Canada, in today's climate, technological development and innovation are most often generated by non-traditional players, such as the private sector and academia. As the nature of conflicts and threats is rapidly evolving, as we've seen in recent years, Canada's national defense and security system needs to be inclusive, collaborative, and integrated to effectively respond to these threats, and to ensure that the Department of National Defense has access to the best solutions. In that extent, IDEaS provides an augmentative approach that enables it to tap into the extraordinary talent and ingenuity resident in Canada. So in order for IDEaS to be successful, the program is based on 3 pillars. First one, IDEaS helps build a vibrant and engaged innovation community to apply their expertise to Canadian defense and military problems. Secondly, IDEaS supports the development of solutions to the Canadian defense and military challenges, and they have numerous funding tools to do this. And third but not least, IDEaS pushes technology forward to a demonstrable level that can increase defense capabilities. Innovators have the ability to showcase their solutions through their own work in what we call the sandbox, or through testing conducted by our military, also known as a test drive. So over the next few slides, I will take you through these pillars in more detail to show you how IDEaS is able to fund innovative solutions to increase defense capabilities. So in order to build the IDEaS innovation community, we need to ensure as many Canadian innovators as possible know about the program. So we increase the number of potential solutions coming to us. So IDEaS and Procurement Assistance Canada continuously conduct outreach activities, and we have built a following of more than 6,200 innovators, and it is still growing. As of January 1st of this year, 74 challenges have been issued, with more than 664 funded projects. 20 collaborative research networks have been developed. 4 test drives have been funded to the extent of $21 million in total, and $330.4 million has been committed and spent. So how does it all come together? First, it starts with the Department of National Defence and Canadian Armed Forces priorities. IDEaS challenges come directly from their partners. So that means the Air Force, Navy, Armor, Cyber, and many more. And they are important for them. These projects are part of their future capabilities. Then comes the ideation stage. IDEaS takes their priorities and goes through a multidisciplinary collective brainstorming process called ideation to refine innovative challenges. Then thirdly, innovative challenges. Once defined, IDEaS will determine how to release the challenge to its innovation community using their funding or supporting elements. These are supported by integrators. IDEaS also provides each funded project with a Department of National Defence or Defence Research and Development Canada integrator who leverages their scientific, defence, and security knowledge and expertise to provide key insights and identify linkages to the Department of National Defense with the goal of advancing IDEaS projects toward adoption-ready solutions. And then for defense capability, ultimately IDEaS success is based on the changes in defense capabilities that will generate for the Canadian Armed Forces, not on the number of contracts they award or the amount that they invest. So participating in the IDEaS program gives many benefits to the innovators involved, from access to world-class subject matter experts to generous funding opportunities. Each element is unique in how it is designed to advance science and technology and deliver support to innovators. So this is probably one of the key slides of the presentation, as it highlights the 5 different funding mechanisms that are available under the IDEaS program. So the first funding mechanism is the competitive projects, and they provide up to $1.2 million in phased development funding to build and progress technology forward. Promising solutions can be selected to advance to demonstration or testing stages of IDEaS. The second funding mechanism involves innovation networks, which provide up to $3 million to encourage collaboration and build a network of expertise that advances research and development in support of Canadians' current and future defense and security innovation challenges. Then there are contests, which are about pitting the best solutions against each other to solve complex issues for cash prizes in various contest formats, with funding being contest specific. Then there are sandboxes, which are opportunities for innovators to test and demonstrate their solutions in the presence of military experts and users in response to a specific challenge. The sandboxes element doesn't provide funding directly, but it will partially reimburse up to 50% of eligible travel expenses related to the sandbox. And last but not least, there are test drives. And test drives is the final stage of the IDEaS innovator journey. IDEaS acquires your solution so that D&D or the CAF can access the readiness of your product via evaluation and testing in a real-world environment for a military audience. Test drive is specifically for the most advanced and promising technologies. The amount will vary per test drive, and innovators will receive operational feedback from military experts and personnel. So one of the innovative features of IDEaS is that intellectual property stays with the innovators. Along with the Department of National Defense and Canadian Armed Forces benefiting, the company or organization can continue to profit from the technology developed. IDEaS launched a new initiative called IDEaS Marketplace, with the inaugural event taking place in June 2022 in Ottawa, Ontario. So this event featured what they call 1B innovators from competitive projects from their first call for proposal, basically CFB 1, with invited guests from all across D&D and the CAF, the private sector, and other government departments. Innovators showcased close to 50 unique technologies developed through the IDEaS program and had the opportunity to pitch their solutions to potential end users, as well as build new networks and partnerships to further push their technologies forward. Now, the event was such a success that IDEaS is looking forward to the next event occurring around the same time this year. So 4 solutions have progressed through IDEaS competitive projects funding element and are now being tested by the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. And as part of the first challenges issued by IDEaS, the threat of drones used for surveillance or attacks was identified as an ongoing risk to operations. So in 2019, Counter Uncrewed Aerial System Sandbox was aimed to look at ways to detect and defeat a variety of different drone technologies, from jamming to physically knocking them out of the sky. A total of 12 companies from 5 different countries were invited to DRDC Suffield to demonstrate, test, and receive expert feedback. The sandbox brought new perspectives and insights into better ways to counteract drones and other aerial systems. So a similar event took place in 2022 called IDEaS 2022, which looked for next level counter uncrewed aerial systems prototypes that could solve the sandbox challenge and be integrated into the broader military command and control system from September 12th to October 7th, 2022, again in Suffield, Alberta, with 12 companies selected to demonstrate their innovations. The program received a total of 39 applications. So being an innovation program, IDEaS has to be responsive to the current and future needs of the Canadian Armed Forces. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, IDEaS was able to pivot and participate to the battle against COVID-19 using the tools available to them. Working with the National Research Council, Health Canada, and Public Health Agency of Canada, several promising technologies from Canadian innovators were identified. The research focused on decontamination research, advanced ventilators, and new fast test kits. As part of the larger pan-Canadian pandemic response, the IDEaS program launched 4 COVID-19 specific challenges in May and June 2020. The challenges focused on early detection and community-based surveillance on outbreaks to permit rapid decision-making. It also focused on finding ways to sanitize personal protective equipment for reuse, sanitizing sensitive equipment and workspaces, and also identifying and treating moral trauma on frontline workers. IDEaS selected 48 phase 1 projects for funding, and of these original 48 projects, 12 projects have now received an additional $1 million in funding to pursue their research. In summer 2022, the IDEaS program launched a brand new challenge under its contest element. It was called the Robot Roundup, Advanced Robotics Platforms and Control Solutions. The contest was seeking innovators to demonstrate to the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces how advancements in robotic platforms and methods of control, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, haptic sensing, and heads-up display, can be leveraged to help CAF members accomplish high-risk tasks. Now, the IDEaS program has selected 8 innovative finalists to demonstrate their advanced robotic platforms and methods of control for a chance to win cash prizes to further develop their technology. These innovators have been invited to the onset component of the contest being held in Toronto. So when it comes to key updates at the moment, 4 challenges were launched this past November for competitive projects. While awards are expected soon, if they haven't been done so already, I'll mention them just to give you an idea of the type of range of challenges in the IDEaS program. So in this last round, basically, there was a challenge called Land to Sea with low greenhouse gases. And it was looking at Arctic eco-safe transit of personnel and cargo from ship to shore. There was another challenge called Loud and Clear, which was looking to have assured naval radio communications in complex electromagnetic environments. Another challenge was Best of Both Worlds, which was looking at human autonomy teaming for effective decision-making. And another one was called Under Pressure, which was looking at just-in-time medical resupply in austere environments. And remember how I was talking about the drones? Well, a new countering uncrewed aerial system sandbox is planned for 2024. So I know that was a lot of information, and a lot of it was focused on the technology innovations most people traditionally think of when the military is involved. But remember, IDEaS has looked for solutions to a variety of other problems as well, like human resources, environmental, health and safety initiatives, and who knows what they might be seeking in the future. So even if you think your business or community might not be the best suited for the IDEaS program, you should keep us in mind. The best way to do that is to subscribe to the IDEaS email distribution list to get the latest challenges emailed directly to you. Information on how to register and subscribe for this email distribution list is available on their website, where you will also find information about the challenges and updates on the projects they have funded, information on the program, including more details about the various funding mechanisms and future opportunities. They're also on social media, and they welcome questions, so feel free to email them those. So with that, thank you very much for your time and interest. I will share the links that I've mentioned in this presentation in the chat shortly. And with that, are there any questions?
There are no questions in the chat, but yeah, just open up your microphone and ask away. Thank you.
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for hosting, Paul and Michael. Great job on presenting that information. Thank you. Can you tell me 3 Indigenous businesses that have taken advantage of IDEaS over the last 2 years?
I can't provide you specific names as they're still under the evaluation process, but I am aware of 2 Indigenous businesses that have gone through the process within the last 2 years.
So 2 Indigenous business over the last 2 years. Your slide said $330 million, $21 million spent. Over what period of time has that been?
Since 2018.
So over 2018, 2 Indigenous businesses versus how many other non-Indigenous businesses have gone through that program?
Yes, there is a considerable difference. Unfortunately, can't provide specific details, but
Well, I think I just did. But so let me ask another question. Your job is to assist Indigenous businesses like mine to do what?
understand how to go about finding these opportunities, submitting proposals, and whatnot.
Okay, so getting the information or helping us submit the proposals, because those two are very different. Which is it?
So we're here to raise awareness on the opportunities and in general, helping you prepare for yourself to submit bids.
Right. So I've been in that process, and I don't know about everyone else on this call, for 4 years. And we're still not on the procurement vehicle that we need to. What do you think your department can do? And I understand the government's making changes towards Indigenous businesses. What do you think, Michael, that you can do within your department that will enable businesses like mine and others here to shorten that process? What do you think?
Well, Procurement Assistance Canada, in addition to our awareness session, also provides tailored one-on-one sessions where we could assist companies such as yourself to understand what your particular barriers are and whatnot, and what those potential stumbling blocks might be. Identify those, maybe identify ways for you to overcome those from a personal business place, but also from a more systemic government perspective.
Well, I think that last little bit of that sentence is really the key, because what we have faced at PSPC is structural racism, bureaucracy, delays, and the most disturbing part of our experience in dealing with PSPC is the amount of American large corporations yanking out hundreds of millions of dollars. KPMG, Deloitte, EY. I don't have anything against those companies. Great, good for them. But as far as Indigenous business goes, I don't see any of it. I've done millions and millions of dollars worth of business with private corporations. Boom, done, get her done. But when it comes to PSPC, 4 years, not a dime. We have competency, skill. We're doing business with the world's largest corporations. We're doing business with defense primes. As soon as you go PSPC, right down the toilet. I would really like to believe that, you're sincere, and I'm sure that you are, Michael. Thank you. You did a great job presenting. I am very skeptical that PSPC, when it comes to procurement vehicles and getting SMB Indigenous companies on there, the goal, of course, is 5% of the ministries to spend on that. Doesn't give you time frames. It just says annual budgets. It's just a parliamentary objective. The devil's in the details. I haven't seen a lot here that would change my mind. Like to be wrong. I'm glad you're dedicated to Indigenous business. Great. But what we want to see in the business community is some actual spending in dollars, real change. I can give you many, many examples. I don't want to take up anybody's time here, but I can give you many, many examples of real structural racism, real examples of our own government using procurement as a bureaucracy. And I'm quite confident many people on this call, because I recognize a couple of the names, have experienced that same thing. I know I'm not alone. I've talked to many, many businesses. So thank you, but let's see some action.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. And
yeah, you bet.
I understand your frustrations, definitely. And so I would encourage you to contact me afterwards, and we could chat about that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Lyle had a question on the chat, or a statement. He says, it's almost impossible to do their applications and processes. You need to show $10 million in the bank, and it's about who you know in Ottawa.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the particular requirements that might be referring to, but I would welcome the inquirer to reach out to me directly, and we could see what that particular requirement is.
I can probably answer it for you if you want me to, Michael. That's it,
Sure.
like in TBIBs 1 and 2, you
Oh,
have to show 10 million and up in revenue. Now, ISS, the Indigenous Services, have stated that any Indigenous business that does not meet those requirements, they will help you bypass them. Now, that's what they claim. Doesn't seem like reality. So, I mean, whoever asked that question, look into it, but don't burn a lot of time with it, because there's other better low-hanging fruit than that. But Michael, maybe you want to look into that in more detail, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're referring to.
Thanks, David.
thanks, David.
Any other questions for Michael? So Michael has in the chat, you can see that he shared his phone number, email address, and particulars in there. So before this session ends, I would, if you're interested, suggest you copy and paste that. Make it your own so that you can follow up with Michael later. The recording of this session will be available later today at Cando's website, edo.ca. Just go under the links to learning tab, and the recording will be there. So we've got some time for additional questions if anyone has them. Someone has the hand up. Tim.
Yeah, okay, there. The question is for the fellow that was speaking about the structural racism, and you said David, you got many examples of the structural racism. Can you give me a couple of those?
Yeah, sure. So, and I want everyone on this call to know I am not the far left. Just FYI, right? I am more than a reasonable person. But we have clearly been the victim of structural racism. I can give you one really good example of dealing with a government employee. We asked them in an email, is this procurement vehicle only for large American businesses and, not non-natives and white people? Like, which is it? Because you've taken 2 years to get us on here. They respond with, don't speak to us like that. How dare you? Effectively, what they did, Tim, is shut up, Native. We'll get back to you. It's basically what they said to us. Shut up, Native. We'll get back to you. That is right from PSPC directly. I can give you another example. I was asked to give a speech about racism for a very large Crown corporation based in Ottawa. I don't want to say the name yet. We could probably get to that over a beer, Tim, if should I meet you in person. The CEO, can you speak on Reconciliation Day? Okay, sure, no problem, I'm happy to. I explained to them how bureaucracy is used in government, not to give Indigenous business, and they favor heavily large American corporations and just large corporations in general, and ignore the underlying structural racism that the people at top use to not use small businesses, therefore creating a cycle of poverty and making it more difficult for someone like me to be a shining example to young people in Indigenous communities. Now, I've done that despite them, but I could do a lot more, Tim, if I had the opportunity. I get to that reconciliation talk last year. I tell them for a half an hour, their top executives, people from the government, how tough it is. I then say, hey, you know what? We can provide you guys some services. They give me an email back, Tim, and you know what that email was? We don't have to follow any mandates from the government, and we already have suppliers. So F off. That's structural racism. You can't make this stuff up. One last example, a large Crown Corp here in BC. The person came out to me. They have a procurement vehicle for Indigenous people. I said, oh, can we please use that? This person in the IT department wants to buy something from me, but they don't want to RFP it. It's too painful. But right here in your own documentation, it says you can do a set aside. The person from the set aside department comes out and says, oh, yeah, well, I went around, I put my cowboy hat on, and I went around to all the Native people. And yeah, we only give plumbing and, fixing construction jobs. We don't do anything with IT. Could that be any more racist and insulting to assume that someone who is Indigenous, Métis in my case, and partially Inuit, couldn't do an intellectual job? You can't beat that for racism. And I used to be, Tim, just for the record, I'll close it here. I used to be one of those people that got, oh, that's all overblown. No, it's not. I've been the victim of it, Tim. So I'll end it there. I don't want to sound jaded. I take it with a punch and I move on, because it's not worth fighting these battles through human rights courts and all these pseudo places. You're not going to get any, you're going to burn your time. You're better just to go off and avoid this stuff. But I just want to share it with everybody so that everyone here knows it's real. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I work with Procurement Assistance Canada along with Michael, and part of our job is trying to work internally with PSPC buyers and managers and whatnot, as well as other departments, to make them aware of what their responsibilities are to the 5% policy and to the Indigenous business community. And there's a lot of work yet to do on that. Absolutely. Yeah. The priority for Indigenous business, getting increased access to these contracting opportunities is definitely a priority. And it's going to take some time to train people and to maybe turn some over and bring in new people, including Indigenous procurement buyers within the government of Canada, to deal with the issues that you've cited there. And I don't doubt that those things have happened. Part of it could be your approach. The other part of it, though, is just that there are people who do not believe in the program and need to be convinced it's the right thing to do. So thanks for those examples.
Yep,
and
no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet, Tim. Yep.
Thanks, Tim and David. Jean, you had your hand up.
Good morning, everybody. And you know what? I don't like. I kind of came in late into the presentation and I've been listening to some of the numbers, and I guess maybe that's why we're all gathered here today, is to identify what those numbers are and realize some of the shortfalls. With 5% Indigenous procurement policy announced by the federal government last year, you know what? It's not too little too late, as we all got to start somewhere. But I know that with some of the specific departments, including the RCMP and Department of National Defense, especially the RCMP, they would need to also follow those that 5% Indigenous procurement policy. Michael?
Yes, it's the 5% policy is being phased in over a number of years. I believe it's 3 years.
Okay. One other thing is, listening to David's comments here, definitely been involved in this industry for a number of years. What would be stopping an Indigenous individual from partnering up with a global consulting company and hanging their shingle out saying, well, you know what, Gino led his partner with a company, and all of a sudden I got 100,000 employees backing me up to chase federal contracts. There's nothing within procurement policy that would exclude those types of relationships, right?
In most instances, not. In most cases, joint ventures like that are permissible.
Okay. And one last thing, and I'm not sure if I missed it, is that, your guys' numbers that you have generated with Indigenous business in the last 5 years totals 30 million. Did I hear that correct?
Sorry, I didn't provide any specific Indigenous numbers.
Are you aware of any specific Indigenous numbers?
I am not personally aware.
Michael, maybe I can respond to that. It's Tim. Yeah, right now, the federal government is running around 1% of total procurement dollar value with Indigenous businesses. There's a long way to go. Like Michael said, the 5% policy is being phased in over 3 years. This year, there are a number of departments that are ready to go who are actively pursuing Indigenous businesses for their procurement business. So there are a number of those. I'm not sure if the RCMP is part of that, but there's a number of departments. And then the next tier are those that aren't ready, but very interested and want to get ready. And then there's the other group for those ones that are maybe a little bit resisting. So we've got some that are ready, we've got some that are not quite ready, but are definitely intend to be ready within the next year or so. And then there are those that it's going to take a little bit of effort to deal with some of their issues and some of their resistance. And the resistance has a lot to do with, it's just another thing for them to do. It's just, wrong people in the right places. That's basically what it boils down to.
And those are probably the individuals that David referenced wearing the cowboy hats there. So,
well, exactly.
Having said that, Tim, one last thing is you identified 1%. Is that public information or knowledge? Could we access saying, okay, what does that 1% represent? Does it represent 30 million or 300 million or 3 billion? And also which companies, because if it falls under federal procurement, then that should be public information, right?
Yeah, it's roughly $23 billion a year in federal procurement that goes out. So 1% is around 23.5 million, something like that, have gone to Indigenous businesses.
Okay. Thank you.
Jean, just further on joint ventures. So if you want to be recognized as an Indigenous-led joint venture, then you need 51% managing or ownership control of that joint venture. Otherwise, it's just a joint venture that includes Indigenous, but doesn't lead with Indigenous, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would definitely structure it where, if it's Geno-led and Stantec, I'd call it Geno Stan, and it'd be 100% Indigenous owned, First Nations owned, 100% Indigenous operated, and I'd be setting it up on a First Nation somewhere for taxation purposes and fill my boots with some federal procurement contracts.
You've thought this through. All right.
Another part of that formula, I guess you could say, is that if you're going to be bidding on a contract, 33% of the actual work that's going to be carried out on that project has to be done by the Indigenous partner, at least 33%. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, the other thing I don't know if, and I'm sure many of you know about this, is the procurement strategy for Indigenous business. You can find all of the criteria and whatnot, the information on that program in the Indigenous Services Canada website. Also, there's connections to it through the Canada Buys website. That's on our website, the Public Works and Procurement Systems. So that will give you a lot of information on the definition of an Indigenous business, joint ventures and partnership information, as well as a lot of the information around set-asides and the decision-making that goes into the set-asides and involves modern treaty areas and comprehensive land claims and whatnot. But a lot of the set-asides is a lot, there's a lot of discretion on the part of the departments that need to get the business done. And there's various levels of set-asides. It's all on that website. So I think that would be something that you all might be interested in. And many of you probably know about it already.
Thank you, Tim. Point of clarification from Kevin. He says 1% of 23 billion is $230 million. So there's been, we're at the Indigenous businesses are at the $230 million level, and they need to be closer to $1 billion a year.
Yeah,
to hit that 5%.
Yeah, my mistakes. Yeah, you're right.
By the way, I posted my email. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I am happy to champion any Indigenous business. I posted up there for everyone. I'm happy to take time. I have been successful in many areas, but when it comes to government, it's been a bit of a challenge. I'm happy to share anything though that I've learned with anyone who wants to.
Thank you for that, David. If there are any more questions, then please speak up now. Otherwise, we'll give you a bit of your day back to you. I want to thank everyone for taking time out today, out of your day. I know time is precious, so I appreciate you spending a bit of it with us. Thank you, Michael, for your knowledge and for your presentation. If there's any further information that you might need, if you forget Michael's email, then you can contact me at Cando. It's Paul Macedo at IDEO.ca. And I'd be happy to forward your information along to whomever, whether it be Tim or Michael at PAC. So thank you so much. Take care.
Well, could I just throw out a comment, maybe a suggestion to the federal government, is that maybe engage with Cando to facilitate some of that discussion on behalf of all Indigenous people across the country. As I don't know, like I know that federal government trying to fit some round pegs into square holes is difficult. Cando's been there for a number of years and doing a pretty good job. So just my 2 cents and a plug for Cando.
Thanks, Gene. Checks in the mail. Actually, we've been doing a number of projects together with PAC, kind of to change the situation from inside out. One of those changes that we're launching in April is phase 3 of the procurement mentorship program. So what we do is we take Indigenous businesses, EDOs that are interested in navigating the procurement process, understanding it better, and impacting change within, to join us for 10 sessions. We work through the process. We allow you to understand the process. We also allow you to share your thoughts on how that process can be modified, changed, improved, eliminated, what have you, so that there's a mutual exchange of information back and forth. Information for that is on the IDEO.ca website. Just go to IDEO Tools and look under the heading Procurement Mentorship and sign up for that. We'd be happy to work with you moving forward. Thanks again. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.